eighth speaker, Don Matthews. Mondays with Mary Jo. Mondays with Mary Jo, Don Matthews.
We all know people who've made a positive impact on our life by nurturing relationships. These are master nurturers. Sometimes, or usually, it's a parent or a teacher, or sometimes a motivational speaker. I was fortunate to know one of these master nurturers as a close friend. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I was working at the Minnesota State Fair when I met Mary Jo. She was a tall farm girl with long curly brown hair and a wonderful smile. She came to my booth to inquire about my company's product. But before long, we were talking about everything important to Minnesotans. Oh, you know the subjects, the weather, the state fair, and of course my favorite, beer. I had to talk with other customers, and she went away before I had a chance to get her phone number. But at the end of my shift, as I was closing everything down, she came back with 2 beers in her hands. This was the start of a great friendship. She was an English major, which made her great for conversing on every subject. And we had some of the greatest conversations. One day, she called me to congratulate me for taking the professional engineer's exam. Then she told me, yesterday I had to go to the doctor, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 inflammatory breast cancer. Survival rate for this kind of cancer is 6%. I knew I was going to lose a friend. On Tuesday morning, she would go in for chemotherapy and she would be sick for a week. On Mondays, she felt the best. And those were the days that we spent together. Sometimes, she felt good enough to go out to eat. Sometimes, she felt good enough to go for a walk. But most of the time, we just stayed in her apartment and talked. There was one day, she was crying and she said to me, Don, I have lived such a stupid life. I'm 40 years old. I've had no accomplishments. I have no money. I don't have a house. I've never done anything successful. Mary Jo, your worth is not measured in material things. Your worth is measured in relationships. You make a positive difference in so many people's lives. She made a positive difference in my daughter's life. We decided to go for a walk one day. My 5-year-old daughter, Victoria, was able to join us. Victoria had never met Mary Jo before. With this 5-year-old's curiosity, she'd look at Mary Jo, at her gray skin, and her bald head, and her sickly feature. And you could see she was quite pensive. Mary Jo picked up on this and asked, "What is troubling you, princess?" Mary Jo looked at her and said, "Are you a boy or a girl?" 5-year-olds don't have much tact. But Mary Jo smiled and she said, "Why, I'm a girl. Don't I look like a girl?" Mary Jo was patient with my daughter, and my daughter continued to ask more tactless questions. My daughter Victoria is now 12 years old, and she still remembers that positive impact that Mary Jo had on her just by treating her with respect and kindness. The poet, Maya Angelou, said that people will forget what you say. People will forget what you do. But people will never forget how you make them feel. Mary Jo knew how to master relationships and make people feel good. On my Mondays with Mary Jo, I learned what made her so effective at it. One, she was thoughtful. By focusing on what you say, it didn't take her long to figure out what you needed. Think about it. How many of us would think to bring a beer to a thirsty man at the state fair? I appreciate it. Number two, she was empathetic. When you talked with her, she would listen, and she would understand, and she could relate her feelings to you. Number three, she loved to give compliments. Not your garden variety compliments, nice tie, nice shoes, nice suit coat, great award. No, real, sincere, deep compliments. Her final compliment to me was, Don, I never did like Mondays much. Until you came along and made them wonderful. When Mary Jo died, there were 5 separate memorial services held in her honor. Among all of them, there were about 1,000 people that showed up. We came because we valued the relationships that she nurtured and the positive differences she made in our lives. Fellow Toastmasters, I encourage all of you to continue encouraging people, nurturing relationships. This is what we do best.